When I arrived at my first industrial job as an engineer, I had to communicate measurements to the shop floor. And I noticed that there was a certain special way that they communicated those measurements to each other. And it revolved around a certain decimal place. It was confusing at first, but then I got the hang of it. And that's what I'm going to teach to you today. And if you hang around to the end, there will be a little bonus that's kind of not along the same rules, but will help you with measurement and all that. So we'll get to that in a minute. So if you notice on a measurement, anything to the left of the decimal point is a whole number. It's a whole inch, usually inches. And anything to the right of the decimal point is a fraction of an inch. So there's a very special decimal point that's 3 decimal places to the right of the decimal point, and that's called the thousandths. That's usually where most machining is centered around, is the thousandths of an inch. So when you see a number in that decimal place, it will be so many thousandths of an inch, as in the example, 1/1000th of an inch. Now, sometimes they'll say 1 thou, they'll shorten that thousandths to a thou. So 2 thousandths, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths, 5 thousandths, that's the way you say that kind of a number. Now, if you go 2 decimal places over, that's the 10,000ths of an inch decimal place. So anything you see in there will be in regards to 10,000ths of an inch. So in the example, 10,000ths of an inch, or 20,000ths of an inch, 30,000ths of an inch, and so forth. Now, when you get 1 decimal place over, that's 100th thousandths of an inch. So as an example, it's 100 thousandths, or 200 thousandths, 300 thousandths, and so forth. Now there's a little bit of an exception, or a little bit of a slang, I guess, that you'll run across, and that's the 4th decimal place over. So to the right of the thousandths place, which would be the 10,000ths, but that's a mouthful. So usually they shorten that to what's called a 10th with a TH. So that will be, as an example, 1/10th of an inch, or 2/10ths of an inch. There's a little bit of an exception if you see 5/10ths of an inch, that's usually slang. They'll usually say that as a half a thou. So it's still, in regards to a thousandths, it's just shortened up to a 10th. So that's what a 10th is. So when you have a number like in this example, where you have, what you would normally say 2.4532, that gets messed up. How you say it on the shop floor is 2 453 thousandths and 2/10ths. So it's a little bit broken up. It's all in reference to the thousandths, but you break it up into, hundreds of thousands and then 10th of a thousandths. So that's how you say that. The special case that I referred to in the beginning is the 6 decimal places over to the right of the decimal point. It's not in regard, I've never heard it in regards to a thousandths. I've heard it in regards to a millionths. So in the example, you see 1/1000th of an inch. You will see this mostly with tolerances of really fine micrometers and other things, precision measurement. I don't know if you'll see it too much in machining work or grinding work. That's really big. That's a really small tolerance. So you'll see it in 1/1000th of an inch, 2/1000th of an inch, 3/1000th of an inch. So the 5th decimal place over will be 10 millionths of an inch. This is what you'll see a lot of, like micrometers, plus or minus 50 millionths of an inch or so forth. So it's 20 millionths of an inch, 30 millionths of an inch, and so forth. So that's your special case, and it's usually in regards to measurement. So I hope this clears things up for you. I hope it demystifies the way that the shop floor talks to each other. And if you adopt this in the way you communicate your measurements to the shop floor, you'll be just that much more precise, and you will be speaking the language that they speak. Now, if there's any differences, if anybody out there has differences to this, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'm sure there's different regions that have different slangs for things, for different measurements, and I'd be interested in finding out what they are. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it, and we'll see you next video.